How's it going, guys? I am out here today on my property, just taking a little stroll, getting a little exercise. And I've talked previously in other videos about why it's important for you to get some exercise and just try to get your own endurance to where you can sustain yourself. I'm not talking about becoming an Olympic athlete or anything like that, but I'm just talking about getting in shape, getting just a little bit more endurance built up to where you will have a greater chance of survival in the event of something happening. I've talked about that in previous videos. I'll try to leave a card up in the corner where you guys can go and check that out. Now, the purpose of this video is I recently wrote an article on my website where I said that your right to own a firearm is more important than your right to vote. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to talk about why that is. When we talk about anything political, politicians in general, we're not talking about people who are seeking what is best for their people, for their nation. We are typically talking about people who are seeking power for themselves. Politician is not necessarily your friend. They are only your friend if you are willing to give up something that benefits them. Okay? Now, when we look around the world, when we look at some of these other countries around the world and the oppression that the people of those countries face, we can see very clearly why our right to own a firearm is more critical to protecting our freedoms than our right to vote. Because why don't those people simply vote the communists or other groups out? Why don't they vote out the dictators? Why don't they vote out the system that is oppressing them? That's very simple. Those systems set themselves up in such a way that any legitimate challenger is done away with. How often do we hear in the news from some of these places about things happening to opponents of certain ones within the political sphere? One of my areas here on my property, kind of a hideaway spot, guys. One of the many reasons that I'm out here. Now, if you simply look up some of the things that have happened, if you look up some of the events that have happened in Russia to challengers of Vladimir Putin, you will see that a lot of those guys didn't do very well. A lot of them were basically murdered. That's an unfortunate reality of the way politics is played in some parts of the world. Look at the steps taken by many here in our own country to limit challengers to the political system that we have. And I know that typically in our country we are a much freer society for many things, and part of that reason is because of our ability to protect those freedoms with the tools that we have. Now, imagine for a moment that even in this country that we had an election between two tyrants. And some people may think that that's what we face already, but I promise you, if you study things and cultures from around the world, you will see that we are much better off here in our country than a lot of other places all around the world. But for the moment, just imagine if some of these groups that we see destroying property, burning buildings and our cities in some places, if they were ever to take over, would we simply be able to vote them out? And the odds of that, no. The founders of this country, the very purpose of our Second Amendment and why they put it there was to give us the tools necessary to be able to protect ourselves from anyone who would threaten us, threaten our lives, threaten our freedoms. That is what the entire purpose of the Second Amendment is. As Madison said, the people should never fear their government for the advantage of being armed. So it was quite clear what their intended purpose was for our right to own one of these. Okay? And guys, I'm being safe with this. Okay? We are a very fortunate society. We are the most heavily armed society in the world. And the more that you study and learn about cultures and societies from around the world, you will see exactly why that is such a huge benefit for us. Okay? These dictators do not fear elections. They do not fear challenges to their authority. They only fear the people when the people rise up against them. And that is something that we have the tools to do if it ever came to that point in our country. And that's why our right to own a gun is more important than our right to vote when it comes to securing our freedoms. If we look at these other countries, if we look at the things that go on in these other countries and how challengers to their political establishment is done, we will see the fact that we have a great advantage, that our Second Amendment is there for a reason, and that's why it should be protected. But guys, this is just a quick video that I wanted to do. I would encourage you to go over and check out that article and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. When it comes to our freedoms, when it comes to our way of life, we are the only ones that can protect it. The election, the ballot box is one way. I'm not saying that we shouldn't vote. In fact, I would encourage everyone to get much more involved in the political process. But what I am saying, it is not the only tool that we have, and as a last resort, we have others. But guys, thanks for watching. Let me hear from you. Be sure to check out the rest of the videos on the channel. Visit my website at boomsticktactical.com, and thanks for watching.